Craftsmanship meets physics. Signal and control wiring is where craftsmanship and physics collide. A neat panel is not just aesthetic. It usually means the system will be safer, easier to troubleshoot, and easier to modify without introducing new faults. The goal of this lesson is to build wiring habits that support three things: safer modifications, faster troubleshooting, and professional long-term maintainability. If you do the physical work well and respect the electrical behavior of signals, you get a system that survives real plant life, vibration, moisture, noise, and human hands. The arteries of the system. Conduit hierarchy. Think of conduit like the protective arteries that move and guard your conductors. Different conduit types exist because environments are different. Rigid metal conduit is the gold standard for mechanical protection and grounding continuity. Plastic or PVC offers chemical resistance, but it does not provide the same grounding path, so bonding and grounding must be planned deliberately. Liquid-tight flexible conduit adds strain relief and is ideal where vibration or movement exists, and where moisture is present. The key mindset is selection by environment: mechanical damage risk, moisture exposure, chemical exposure, and noise or grounding considerations. Managing bulk distribution. When wiring leaves the small, tidy world and becomes large-scale distribution, we switch to systems designed for bulk routing. Cable tray comes in several forms. Ladder tray is heavy-duty support for large feeders and long runs. Basket tray is lightweight mesh, great for mixed data and signal cables with lots of branch points. Wire duct, often called panduit, is what you use inside panels to keep conductors organized as they land on DIN rail components. Busways are prefabricated power distribution systems and are not used for signal wiring. The principle is simple: use the right highway for the type of wiring and the scale of distribution. The DIN rail standard and modular architecture. DIN rail is the backbone of modern industrial panels. It is a standardized rail that allows components to snap on and snap off quickly. This supports modular architecture. Relays, power supplies, signal conditioners, and converters can be mounted in a consistent, serviceable way. The practical advantage is speed and flexibility. You can add a relay, replace a power supply, or rework a section of a panel without rebuilding the entire mounting system. Another key point is that grounding terminals often use the rail as a bus, so the rail becomes part of the grounding strategy. The interface. Terminal block architectures. Terminal blocks are the interface between field wiring and the control system, so their design matters. Two main styles show up everywhere: screw clamp and screwless spring clip. Screw clamp terminals are familiar and give a direct, controllable clamping force, but they take longer to install and can loosen over time if vibration is present. Spring clip terminals maintain constant tension and create a gas-tight connection that resists vibration, and they reduce repetitive twisting work during installation. The main takeaway is that both work, but spring clip designs often win in high vibration, high maintenance environments because the connection quality stays more consistent over time. Preserving the conductor. Ferrules. Bare stranded wire under a screw terminal is a long-term reliability problem. Strands can shear during tightening, and over time copper can cold flow and relax under pressure, which leads to loose connections and heat. The standard professional approach is to use ferrules on stranded conductors. A ferrule forms a solid uniform end that the terminal can clamp without damaging the copper. Solid wire is different. It can be wrapped around a screw using a J-hook, but stranded wire should be terminated properly with a ferrule or the correct crimp terminal. This is one of the highest return on investment habits in panel work. The physics of a perfect crimp. A proper crimp is not just a mechanical squeeze, it is a controlled cold weld. The goal is to compress the wire and lug into a gas-tight mass that excludes oxygen, preventing corrosion and minimizing resistance. That only happens when the tool and die match the wire gauge and terminal style. This slide also distinguishes fork versus ring terminals. Fork terminals are easier to install or remove because the screw only needs to loosen. Ring terminals are maximum security because the screw must be fully removed to detach, which makes them ideal for high vibration environments. The warning here is straightforward. Always use the correct die station and correct color or gauge match because a sort of crimp becomes a failure later. The invisible enemy. Signal coupling. Signals can leak between wires without touching. This is the heart of noise problems. There are two main coupling mechanisms: capacitive coupling and inductive coupling. Capacitive coupling is driven by voltage and frequency. An electric field can couple through insulation and air like a capacitor, especially at higher frequencies. Inductive coupling is driven by current and frequency. A changing magnetic field around a conductor induces voltage in nearby conductors through mutual inductance. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Voltage noise couples capacitively, current noise couples inductively, and both get worse as frequency rises. Defense Strategy 1. Separation and orientation. Your first and simplest defense is geometry. Separation matters because coupling strength drops with distance. Keep high-voltage AC and low-voltage signal wiring separated whenever possible, and avoid parallel runs between power and analog signal. When wires must cross, use the 90-degree rule. Cross at right angles. That geometry reduces overlap area and reduces mutual inductance, which means less induced noise. This is free noise reduction because it costs nothing except discipline in routing. Defense Strategy 2. Electric field decoupling with shielding. Shielding is primarily a defense against capacitive electric field coupling. The physics is that electric fields cannot exist inside a conductor because charge carriers move to equalize potential. A cable shield, foil, or braid acts like a Faraday cage. External electric fields terminate on the shield, and if the shield is grounded correctly, the unwanted charge drains to ground instead of coupling into the signal conductors. The important detail is that shielding is not magic. It is a controlled path for electric field energy to go somewhere harmless. The ground loop hazard shielding can become a problem if it is grounded incorrectly. If you ground both ends of a shield, you create a loop. Differences in earth potential between the two grounding points can drive current through the shield, and that current can induce noise and even heat the cable. The standard practice for most instrumentation shielding is single-point grounding. Ground the shield at one end only, typically at the source or panel end, depending on the system standard. The idea is that the shield acts as a drain for electric fields, not as a conductor carrying current between grounds. Defense Strategy 3. Magnetic field. Decoupling with twisted pairs. Magnetic fields are harder to shield than electric fields, so the best defense is geometry again. Twisted pairs work because each twist alternates the orientation of the small loop area relative to the field. The induced noise in one half twist tends to cancel the induced noise in the next, based on the symmetry of the geometry. This cancellation effect is a practical application of electromagnetic principles, and it is why twisted pair is so effective for low-level signals and communications. When you see a twisted pair done well, it is a deliberate noise-canceling design. Noise tolerance. Analog versus digital analog. And digital signals behave very differently in the presence of noise. Analog signals have effectively infinite resolution, meaning any noise changes the measured value. If you inject 20% noise, you can get 20% data corruption, especially in voltage-based analog signals. Digital signals are threshold-based. Noise is ignored unless it crosses the switching threshold, which makes digital more robust in many environments. This does not mean digital is immune, but it does mean you can often route digital signals closer to power than sensitive analog signals, as long as you respect the rules for shielding, grounding, and cable type. The practical rule is to protect analog more aggressively than digital. High-frequency signals and transmission line effects. At higher speeds, wiring stops behaving like just wire and starts behaving like a transmission line. Impedance mismatches, like open ends, poor terminations, or bad crimps, can cause reflections. Those reflections are essentially echoes that distort the signal and confuse the data stream. The solution is impedance matching and proper termination. Field bus networks often use termination resistors to absorb signal energy and prevent reflection. Some systems reduce the problem by lowering data rate, so reflections settle before the next bit arrives. The main takeaway is that high-frequency wiring is not forgiving. The physical installation becomes part of the circuit. The engineer of reliability. This final slide is the synthesis: mechanical discipline plus electrical theory. We route, clip, and crimp to ensure physical durability and maintainability. We shield, twist, and separate to respect the laws of electromagnetism. A neat wire job is not vanity. It is visible evidence of a system designed to survive. When you build panels and route signals with discipline, you reduce nuisance faults, reduce downtime, and make troubleshooting faster for the next person who opens the cabinet. Thanks to Tony Coupalt and the open source community for making high-quality technical education freely available.